Hello, selectors, and I have a bit of a confession to make. So I have not missed a deck tech in over a year of building stuff. I was a little stressed when it came to Hirana's second card that came out. Hirana. This is going to be kind of an interesting video because it's not like scripted in the slightest. This one, because it is so bad, in my opinion. Now, there's ways to justify it. There's ways to make it good. There's ways that you can try to give it a niche, and you can do those things. That I decided I was gonna do a video anyways, even though I was like, this might be the first video I actually miss. And I put out that video, and to be honest with you, after the video came out, I didn't love it. I didn't like it. We haven't seen Hirana like this version ever since then. It's not really being used at all. So I didn't want to make the video, but I did because I felt like I needed to make a video on every single center, especially because I sometimes do feel like, as one of the content creators who is more regular, let's say, on YouTube, I feel like I owe it to you guys to put out regular content, high quality content. Maybe not high quality content, but high quality reasoning in this game. That I would make one for you and give it my bestest. And it gave me a lot of anxiety to try to figure it out because there wasn't a ton of good options for it. And it also was really not interesting to do it and not fun for me as a deck builder to try to do. And so comes to the topic of this video, which is Anne. So Anne is maybe good in All-Star. I don't know. I'm not an All-Star aficionado. And maybe there's just better ways to turn its abilities on and make it really good. Especially in a format maybe that has multi-different colors that you could be running. You can run all 5 colors, or lack of colors in those formats. I don't know. But what I can tell you is that I've been trying to rack my brain for the last couple weeks on how to build this Anne deck, and I can't come up with a good answer. And it's also not very interesting. So I am not going to build an Anne deck. This video is definitely misleading because some of you are clicking on it for a purpose of how to build an Anne, and I'm basically going to tell you here that I can't do it, or you guys can do it, and I think maybe you could do a fine job. But Anne in itself, it just is not really a great Elrig. There's definitely going to be people who are standing it and are very disappointed in this video, and I'm sorry, but to be completely honest with you, I'd rather be focusing my attention on things that I think are stronger or more interesting, or at least excite me as a player. And Anne's not one of them. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit here and maybe give you guys some direction on where you could build Anne if you were to do it yourself. But that's all I'm going to do. I'm not going to figure out a deck because I tried. I really did. I stayed up late at night trying to do it, and 3 times basically refreshed my page because I was like, I can't think of it. So let's talk about Anne. Anne is a level 3 where its enter ability is up to 2 Signy from your enter zone. You can add them to your hand to target up to 2 of them. Its action ability is once per turn, you can target 1 card in your enter, and it gains multi-enter until end of turn. And its action is once per game, you can return all Signy on your opponent's field with the highest power to its owner's hands. So the main thing that makes it bad is its enter ability. It's basically a do-nothing ability. You can either do it, and you probably are screwing yourself through the rest of this game by basically playing a... there's so many other Signies, right? Toko, set 1 that came out, that gives you back 2 Signy to your hand from the trash, and it costs 2 enter. This costs 4 enter and does that effect. Toko, again, another good example of something that's been probably power scaled out of the format, gives you other things too. You can negative affect it, and you can negative Signy out of this. This you have one. You can open up basically 1 lane. Any good player will play around that ability. You can open 1 lane and bounce it to their hands. And then the multi-enter is fine, but it's fine for a terrible reason. It's fine because you want the least amount of green deck you possibly could, which actually plays not great with its enter ability, which you want to play the most green deck you possibly can so you can get more enter in your enter charge. But this is this is where Anne just starts to fall apart. It's got a very confused identity, and it doesn't really know how to get any of the stuff you can do. I think the best thing that you could do if you were to build Anne is to play 16 um, 16 green cards, so you can ensure that you get yourself to level 3, right? That's the thing, is you don't get that multi-enter until level 3, and by that point, it's really not as important to have multi-enter anyways, because you're able to control your enter a little bit more efficiently later in the game. So yeah, it's sort of confused is what it does. I would say your best goal is to probably play green and get yourself 16 level 1 or 16 greens. That will get you to the baseline of being able to do this. So you're playing the bare minimum of green needed, which is fine because green's not necessarily the most powerful most powerful in the rounds, and that'll get you there. I think if you were going to go in that direction, the best way to do it would be to play Bang. Let me see here. I don't know why that didn't work. Bang, enter, and then probably pay 3 of these. Now the interesting thing about that is that you're going to discard 2 cards from your hand to basically put the 2 in here. Another option you could do is play a green Elrig, play green basically, which defeats the purpose of that multi-enter ability. But that'll give you as well 2 enter from the level 1 green, and that 2 enter can then be can basically give you 2 draws, right? A level 1 draw 2 is pretty good. Bang doesn't do that. You discard it, but basically you're basically putting a loan down. You're saying, I'm discarding these 2 useless cards, and then I'll turn 3, I'll pick the best cards for me later. Probably go with Chuchirin. You. And then you're good, right? Like this is where you basically want to do. You could waste one of your pieces, right? You could play G-G-G, I think. You could waste one of your pieces and play GGG, which basically gives you, it gives you 2 enter by the time this happens, so it pays for Anne on her own. And you don't have really any control over what's there, but you'll at least be able to draw some cards, right? Then to maximize the multi-enter thing, you play the least amount of green you possibly can. Start playing good cards that are non-green. You get greedy with your enter, and you'll be fine because of the multi-enter effect. And then after that, you probably end up playing with return all signing with your opponent's field to the highest power to the owner's hand. You have to play main phase negative effects, which puts you sort of in black territory, right? Like Lucifer. Not saying this is one that you exactly want, but negative 2,000, across one signing, maybe negative 4,000 allows you to. It's at the beginning of attack phase, so it's not even good there. So you see what I'm running into. Like, you've got to play stuff that will do negative effects. Main phase, maybe, like, for example, if the opponent has out a 13k and a 12k, that's where few Yuki can come into. And, like, you could do that kind of stuff. So you'd want to play around with a little bit of that. I'd probably put it as a light package because really your opponent controls what's coming out there, so it's going to be difficult for you to be able to control around it. There's really no gimmick. There's no gimmick that makes Anne good. If there was, I would say this is it's an interesting niche. You can go down this route. But I hope I've given you a deck direction, at least, because I'm trying to at least provide that. But I can't give you a solidified deck list for this one. So even though I can't give you a deck list, I do hope that you guys may always flip a life burst. Maybe down in the comments down below, you can tell me what you guys think could make this deck work.